Marilyn Manson are a band from Florida. They were formed in 1989 and they're still going. However, Marilyn Manson is also the stage name of their frontman, Brian Warner, which is just a little bit confusing. Not too bad, but yeah, okay. They are known, and he is known for being particularly controversial and for courting controversy and rather flamboyant and larger than life. And to date, they have produced 11 albums. Hi, my name's Dan, and I'm an Englishman, and to prove it, I have a cup of tea. So, if you have anything you want to say about this album, about Marilyn Manson in general, or about this review, please pop it in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. And I'm on this journey to listen to and review the 3,000 best albums of all time, according to a list. And we're getting close to 100 through, but it's a good time still to jump on board on this journey and come with me. It's a spectator sport. And the way to do that is to click on the button that says subscribe, and then click on the little bell next to it and click on all, so that you'll get a notification every time I publish one of these. So that would be good. It would encourage me, so please do it. So before we go any further, I need to throw some stuff in about Brian Warner and the current controversy. At the moment, he is being accused of being abusive. There's one particular relationship, but there are several people who are accusing him of being abusive in relationships. He has produced a counter. He's sued at least one of them for defamation of character. And at this point, you might be thinking, why am I doing the review of an album for a guy who's and a band, I guess. It always seems to focus on Brian Warner, the guy at the front. Why am I doing a review of an album for somebody who may well have been quite abusive? My counters to that is, I don't want to make a judgment. And also, I want to say neither should you at this point in time. You might have your opinions, but nothing has been proved yet either way. So, and if it does get proved, will I keep doing reviews of albums if they're in the list? I don't know. I shall see when we get to that point. I did want to make a couple of general points. That this is not a philosophical video, really. So I want to be quite quick about this, but I want two kind of points that balance each other out somewhat. So, first of all, of course, I don't think that abuse should be swept under the carpet. I think anybody who speaks up about abuse, I know it can be a very difficult thing to do, so I think these people should be encouraged. However, I also think the other side is that there is a danger of fraudulent accusations of abuse, particularly when it's situations where there can't be any proof. And I know that this makes it problematic, but I think that I don't like the fact that people are tried in the media without any proof, and it's all done with innuendo and showing the points of view of particular people. And if this went to trial, then by the time he got there, I feel that Brian Warner would already be in everybody's mind guilty. And I want to keep that clear. He may be, he may not be, and I want to keep those possibilities open in my head. Anyway, spent far too long on that. Let's move on and actually do an album review. So this was the third album by the band. And the next thing I need to talk about is the cover. So normally at the beginning of the review, I flash up the cover for the album. This cover was particularly controversial, and some people found it offensive. I have no intention of causing any offence to anybody with these reviews. Normally, I like to put the album art up. In this case, I haven't. Okay, if you want to see it, go find it yourself. That's fine. Right, let's move on. All the controversy out of the way, maybe. So musically, a bit of a description. So apparently the first two albums were more metal. This album is not. Certainly not so metal. I kind of describe it as industrial hard rock. Okay, so the industrial part of that is that there's quite a lot of noise elements that go into it. Particularly, I mean, using guitars and stuff, but sounding like electronic noise, which are non-musical sounds. And this kind of stuff's been around for a while, so we've kind of got used to it, or some of us have. And along with that, is rock, pretty much. It's pretty heavy. There's a lot of kind of crunchy guitar stuff going on. There's some really kind of strong, crunchy sounds going on. But the other side of this is that it's been described as being glam, or taking inspiration from 1970s glam rock, and I can hear it. I can hear what's being talked about there. I can hear elements of David Bowie and possibly T-Rex in here as well. And so partially going along with that is that actually in some ways, despite the sounds, it's really poppy and it's very accessible. If you're able to listen to stuff that's quite heavy, then it's got hook lines, it's got choruses, it's got simplicity to the music. And then the final addition in there is electronic stuff. And they're using samples at times, and they're using repeated beats that are very kind of like electronic stuff. And they're also using a lot of the ways that things are varied in electronic music, with kind of tweaking the tone control or bringing things in and out, that kind of stuff. So it's got this kind of mix between electronic and rock and industrial and glam and pop all together all at once. And musically, I really like it. It's rich, it's got grooves, it's nicely produced. And in fact, if you dropped out the voice and the industrial noises, you'd probably just say it was good rock. Or, depends on whether you like it or not, I guess. Moving on to the voice then. So the singing is Marilyn Manson, the Brian Warner, the guy, has quite a unique voice. It's not your death metal growling, but it's not singing either, and it's somewhere between the two. There's bits of it that are spoken, but mostly is a kind of crunchy growl thing, but it's not the same growl. Finding it hard to describe. It's very expressive. It suits the style of the music and what it's doing very well, I think. So it works, but it is kind of somewhat unusual. The subject matter. So I looked this up. This is a concept album. It's actually the middle one of 3 concept albums in a row by the band. And the concept is similar to Ziggy Stardust from David Bowie from many, many years ago. It's about a spaceman who comes, joins a band, and gets involved in a hedonistic kind of rock and roll lifestyle. So this is the excuse for having several songs in here which are basically about nihilistic hedonism. They're portraying a character, and of course this is in no way autobiographical. Actually, Brian Warner has admitted there is a certain amount of autobiography going on here. But there's 2 characters, and the songs, depends on which version of the album you listen to, whether you listen to the vinyl version or the CD version. I was listening to the CD version, and the songs more or less alternate between these 2 characters, one who's more of a saviour kind of character, and one who's this character who's kind of lost in this hedonism. There's a lot of stuff about drugs, about sex of various kinds. It's not particularly about violence. The attitudes are very, at times, very hedonistic. It's definitely not safe for work. There's a certain amount of rude wordage in there. And my feeling on it is that, so I'm not always a fan of stuff that's quite dark and depending on the message that it's got. My feeling on this one is actually I still like it and I'm probably mostly because I like the music. Would it be the same if the messages weren't so shocking? Not quite the same. I think it's genuinely creative and it's unusual. There were other things that came after this that started to sound more like this, but I think this was kind of breaking some new ground in the sounds and the music that was used. It's pretty varied. It is deliberately shocking, and it is dark and twisted, and I kind of love it. Yeah, and I think it's the music that's won me over. So that's it from me for now.